All right, welcome to Monday Mindset. It's December 30th. Hard to believe we're coming to the end of the year. Gentlemen, I have three great business owners. At least I think they're great. We're going to find out today on this episode.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure on the insurance syndicate.
Everything you've done up to this point, moot.
Yes.
It's all about this podcast episode.
This is the judgment of your 2024. Hey, had the opportunity to host Alex, Nick, and Nate at the Eagles-Cowboys game, and it was just a beatdown of the Cowboys. Sorry, Nick.
41-7, I think the score was.
It was
Yeah,
a beatdown. But wanted to bring them on. I'm going to do a podcast episode after this. Wanted to bring them on the Insurance Syndicate, Monday Mindset. These are three great business owners with a ton of experience, a ton of advice. And also what's neat is a ton of experience and advice in the insurance space specifically, which all of you guys are in the insurance space. So wanted to riff. This is all about mindset. And we're coming to the end of the year. And so I want to throw out the question for you guys of, and I'm going to start with you, Nate, because you aren't prepped on this at all. And shout out.
I'm never prepped on anything.
Shout out to Nate wearing the sandals so you guys could see his toes, because we were afraid this wasn't going to get views.
Move.
So we were like, hey, man, don't wear shoes. Bring in the toes. Raw dog it.
Sex sells, and I got my.
Oh, God.
I got my
This is
naked,
already going
I got my
downhill, and
naked
it's
toes
only
out.
10 o'clock
I got my
Eastern
naked
Standard.
toes out, so
I promise we have not been drinking, just coffee. So I want to throw this question to you. Obviously, it's the end of 2024. What's one thing you are leaving behind in 2024 as a business owner that didn't serve you? And then the flip side of that is, what is one thing you believe you're going to add in 2025 that's going to take you to the next level?
Man, I haven't done my, what do they call, New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, oh gosh, dude. Well, most of them fail anyways, like keeping their New Year's resolutions. So
Well,
it
I
doesn't
think
matter.
what was it? The study of Forbes said that 86% of the people don't even accomplish the goals they set. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to sound probably cliche and what everyone says, but like every time when I reflect on the last year, I look at what didn't serve me, and number one, always certain individuals that I've hung on to, been around, gave second, third, fourth chances to. Maybe you don't think they're negative, but when you actually reflect on it, they don't have to be negative. I think it's what it's like, oh, I hate this person because they're negative. It's just they're not aligning to where you're going. Yeah. And so it's tough. The Bible talks about don't be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. It's the same thing. I mean, everyone should know this is watching this, but like just looking at that and going, okay, great. Are these people really aligned to where I want to go?
Well, the number one rule about partnerships?
Give it to me.
Don't have them.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah. And so in 2025, I'm actually going into an incredible partnership.
Okay. Oh boy.
With Luke.
So I can't use that one now. I can't
Sorry.
use that.
That is the number one rule, they say, though.
No, I agree. And it's, I think the partnership comes down to is that if you set it up the correct way and you know what your roles are that you're playing, and put benchmarks to where you want to go and where you need to be at, and are confronting that up front. Because I told that when I got out, I said, listen, I don't like partnerships. I don't want to be involved in partnerships. Nothing, it never works out well. I truly believe, and I've had a couple in the past that are continuing to work well. If you don't even go into it as a partnership, but you're going into it going, okay, great. What are you great at? What are you good at?
Sure.
What are you going to accomplish in this business endeavor together, right? And here's what I'm going to bring to the table, what I'm going to accomplish. And we need to be able to have that accountability so that if you're not pulling your weight, we got to have an adult conversation where you don't get your feelings hurt, you don't get your ego involved.
Yeah.
Right. And
well, that's the death of most people, is their ego.
yeah.
And it's really almost like a dichotomy, because the most successful players on the team tend to be divas or tend to have ego, because you have to have the confidence to execute and to stand on your own. But that same ego can be the death of you, because it makes you where you don't listen. It makes you where you're not teachable, coachable. So it's a hard balance. Yeah.
Right. So like I wouldn't even call it a partnership, because we talk about the coalition and everything else and I get involved with it. It's just like we're going to be bringing the best into this insurance industry. And somebody, if I start dropping names, everyone's heard of them, right? They're the best of the best to be able to learn from. And it's like, okay, what do you bring to the table? And the value you bring is what is the value you're going to get out of it. Mm-hmm. So when you have that reciprocal, it's not like, oh, you get a piece of this, you get a piece of that. No, it's like you bring this value. Here's the reward you're going to get for that value that you bring. So we're excited about that. So.
Okay. Love it. What about you, Alex? What's the one thing you're going to give up in 2024 and then add in 2025?
I'm giving up side quests. I'm staying 100% focused on the main thing. I get opportunities dropped in my lap a lot, and I'm just not going to take anything on that doesn't have me going 100 miles an hour in the one direction, which for me is building out great software products. So if it's anything else, I'm just going to say no to it. So I'm really going to be leveraging the word no a lot in 2025.
That was actually my theme for this year was if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Because it is the death of every entrepreneur and great business owner is they like there's a famous story from Mark Benioff, Salesforce founder. He used to work for Steve Jobs at Apple, one of the first engineers. He maintained his friendship with Steve as he was building Salesforce. Steve invited him down in basically to show him the iPad. And Steve, in the story, and you can listen to it on the All In Summit podcast, it's a great story, but Mark Benioff talks about that same principle, that the biggest mentorship he got from Steve Jobs is that he said, Apple will never do more than the products that can fit on my desk right here. And he said, Mark, if there's any advice I could give you is just do one thing and focus on that. And there's this founder in real estate, Gary Keller, who founded Keller Williams, the biggest real estate company, The One Thing book. Go read that book. It is one of the best books you will read because it is that principle, focusing on one thing. And there's clips going around about Peter Thiel, just to put a nail in this coffin. Peter Thiel, great venture capitalist, entrepreneur, all this stuff. The people who worked with him talk about working with him, how he would get maniacal, like obsessed about the one thing that they were doing, and angry if you on his team started to try to talk about something else. He like just physically got like mad and upset because you were distracting him from the one thing. But it is so hard to keep because you look over at Nick, you go, oh man, the guy's doing PPC really well. He's making money. Maybe we should do that, you know, or, oh man, he's doing a CRM. You know, maybe we should do CRMs. Yeah. And it's like, I'm doing the magazine, but oh, there's money in CRMs. And you get so just money focused, but that's all fake opportunity because opportunity needs execution for it to be real. And execution is way harder than I think.
Well, and I think when you're talking about that, you're looking at people that are hyper focused on one thing. Alex is focused on the CRM, and that's why he's successful. But we want to go touch that piece of gold while we have 4 other products, and we don't realize the reason Alex is successful is because it's one thing. Yep. And if you go ahead and pivot and add that service to you, you might be able to add the CRM, but you're never going to do it the way Alex does it. And so you have a false perception of what your potential is because you're looking at Alex as a one thing and you're trying to implement it as multiple products, and you're never going to be that successful because he's successful because he's prioritized it as the one thing.
Well, I would have to have an Alex. Right. Like if I was going to do the CRM.
I mean, just buy Alex's company. Buy Alex's company. There you go. And just
Alex, are you selling? No. But think about it. It's like Microsoft, Bill Gates. How did they grow? Facebook, how did they grow? Meta now, how did they grow? They grew by acquisition. Yeah. Like they have invented products. I'm not minimizing the products they have brought to market, but they had their one thing they brought to market, but their real growth has been through acquisition. Like Facebook bought Instagram. Yeah. Facebook tried to buy Snapchat, right? If you can't compete or beat the competition, you buy the competition. Yeah. It is a business strategy that
or you buy their expertise. So
you're you buy their expertise. But the thought process there in my mind is that you're buying the person who can, that's their one thing, and that's what they are going after versus you trying to spread yourself thin. All right, what about you, Nick? What's the one thing you would leave behind?
Shed non-profitable accounts. I mean, every account is profitable, but I'm looking at my client avatar. Okay. Not taking on certain revenue that's not within my avatar. Okay. You know, sometimes you take on a certain client because you think there could be a certain potential, and you just always go back to your avatar and go, well, they don't have enough revenue, and I shouldn't have landed that client because they don't have the growth potential like this client over here. And in my industry, it really depends on the client. I mean, you can have one client that takes up 90% of your time and one client that takes up 10% of your time. The client that takes up 10% of your time might give you 90% of your income. And so I'm really just trying to pivot, simplify, and execute.
Being willing to fire clients.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you just got that, you got these ones, and it's not being rude or disrespectful. It's just every time you got energy or analysts focused on these clients, that's one big client that analyst can't be serving. Okay. And you can double, triple the profitability by just shifting over to this client and freeing up that team member to work on that client instead of these 3 or 4. Okay. So I would say shedding and focusing more on my avatar and making sure that I'm in alignment with companies that actually have the budget spend to grow and to scale.
Yep. I'm curious. What's up, Joe, Lily? Thanks for joining. And then I see also in the comments we have Alicio. Man, hope you're doing well. He's a local flip. Thanks for joining in.
Look, there's Joe. Joe Campert.
It's Joe Campert, man.
What's up, Joe?
Yeah. So I'm curious. It's like if the audience and the people listening to this, do you actually even have your client avatar? And do you understand even what that means? It's like your ideal audience. Who is it that you're trying to go after? For Agent CRM, you're going after insurance agents. And you could even refine it. Do you focus on all insurance agents, or do you refine it down to just like a certain life, health, property casualty? Like, how do you think about that?
When we started, we were primarily focused on life because that was our biggest. That was back in 2020. Now we're expanding as we see opportunities into other insurance spaces. But I don't enter into an insurance product for Agent CRM unless I can sit down and write a personal sales letter to an individual and explain why Agent CRM is going to be better for them than what they're using. So to me, it comes down to, can I speak their language and deliver a product that helps them? Because it's not just about insurance. Every single insurance product has a slightly different customer journey. When we were adding on Medicare pre-built assets, we had to look at it and go, well, what we built for life ain't going to work here. And so now as we're going into group benefits and all these other fun products like business insurance, we can't use what got us to be the biggest in the life insurance space and Medicare. We got to look at what is the customer journey for group benefits? What is the customer journey for business insurance? And kind of start from scratch a little bit, knowing what we know about execution. It comes down to that, like, I name the person. So it's like, Nate, like I write a letter to Nate and I say, Nate, here's what you're using. Here's why Agent CRM is going to be better. Yeah. And just walking through the process of getting signed up. Because if I can't explain it and visualize it, they're not going to be able to understand.
I love that because that's a real, you're taking a real person. Where a lot of times when you make a client avatar within marketing, it's like a fake persona, but you're actually personalizing it down to someone real in your life that you would write a letter to. And then the idea here is if you don't have that, you should have that. Joe Campert said, "What's up, Nate?" And he said, "What's up?" Yeah. But like when you get your client avatar, it essentially answers all the questions of how you should run your business. I.e., if you're going after, selling Medicare, well, you're going to target people who are turning 65 or are over 65 for the most part. Well, then that tells you, well, who are those people? Where do they live? Where do they spend their time? What messaging do they actually respond to? What imagery do they respond to versus a millennial or something like that? So it essentially dictates all the activities in your business based upon the audience that you're going after. But what's interesting is just thinking about all you guys' advice that you're leaving behind in 2024 and then what you're trying to do in 2025. It really revolves around this theme of focus. Yes. That if I can become more focused with my efforts, I will be ultimately more efficient and more productive, which will then translate to the bottom line. The problem is not that you can't serve all insurance agents. The problem is that you have limited time and bandwidth to be able to do it. And so naturally you can't do everything well. So you hone in until you get overflow in an area. And then when you get overflow, now you have excess of time or capital. And if you have excess of time, you can go spend the time to figure out how to sell to the Nate. If you have excess of capital, you can go hire the Nick to figure out how to sell to Nate. But you should never move forward until you have like an overflow coming from that one thing. And so, okay, so I want to wrap up this show asking you guys, if you could say the biggest mistake you've made in your entrepreneurship journey, what would that mistake be? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Nick.
Great.
Yeah.
I can
Great.
start. You guys need time to think of
Yeah.
I can start anytime to think of an answer. You do? Okay. Being the knight in shining armor, the white horse. What is that expression? The knight comes
Like
in
the
on the white
savior
horse,
or
the
something?
knight, the savior.
Yeah.
Ego plays a big role. I think any of us, it's like, we want to come in and help the helpless a lot of times, and it makes us feel good. And it's a lot easier to run up the hill with someone who knows how to run than to try to carry them on your back. As another one that may sound cliche and simple, but I see so many people do it, and I know that I'm that's one of the things that I look back in my journey in entrepreneurship for 30 years now, and it's just like, man, there you go, there you go, there you go. What could I have done if I would have spent the same time with work where you're deserved, not where you're needed? That's my mentor always said that.
That's
and
so
I would sit
good,
there
man.
and train people that, and I was sitting there doing it, working where I deserve, helping this person. They need this, and they need it. No, focus on the people that and the opportunities, the people, the relationships that deserve your time. And it's one of the hardest things to do, because I think a lot of us that we are an entrepreneur, we're fixers, right? When it's you always hear, find a problem, get the solution, and then the money changes hands. Well, it's like, yes and no, right? If you can find the problem with somebody who is there running to help solve it with you, as opposed to trying to convince them or drag them to or see more in them than they see in themselves, and it's not you have to cut those people out, but you got to spend less time and really focus on where you're deserved, not where you're needed. So,
Dude, that's so good. I think ultimately about the journey I'm on is a journey of how do I be 100% truthful 100% of the time, but not be an asshole. I'm doing it because the more successful people I
when you
get
figure that out,
around-
let me know.
Yeah. the more successful people I get around, they emanate from a place of integrity and truth, but they're perceived as a lot of times maybe like an ass. Right? You think of people like Elon Musk or, and I don't really know Elon Musk personally, but, the Trumps of the world,
They said
these
Steve
people.
Jobs was,
Steve
horrible
Jobs,
to
same
work
thing.
for,
Like,
yeah.
they're people describe them. Michael Jordan would be another one. But I see that as like, no, they're just like, to go off of your biggest favorites, like, they're not going to sit here and try to save this person that's not willing to save themselves. They're going to tell them like it is. And they're going to be real because that's truthful, versus the other is like, I'm not really being real. I'm not, like actually telling you what I think, but doing it in a way that is not being an ass. That's hard. So I've been challenging myself, be 100% truthful to everybody you're around 100% of the time, and try your hardest to do it in a way that you at least are not trying to be an ass in how you're doing it. Because the more I do that, the more power I have. Yeah. Because I'm speaking from my truth, and people can take it where I used to be for so many years, dancing around the point, sugarcoating it, trying, like you said, to bring people along with me. And all I was doing was actually not helping them. Yeah. And everybody tells you that, but it is so hard to live that because ultimately it's pride. Ultimately it's hedonism. It's selfishness. I'm really doing it for my own satisfaction because I think I can get something out of you, or I think I need your approval. And the moment I've started to realize, no, this has been more about me than it has actually been about them, the more truthful I can actually become. So great.
Yeah, and real quick, the challenge with that is that it's with the media and everything else, and when things have changed, that whether you like it or not, the majority of people are going to think you're an asshole. Mm-hmm. Oh, you don't talk to someone, accept them for who they are. No, I want to accept you for who I know you can become. Yeah. Oof. It's like not for who you are, but that society today, no, it's like accept everyone for who they are. I want to go pee in a litter box. Okay, well, let me go do it. It's like, I hate to say, I'm not going to apologize for that because it's getting absurd. It's getting just ridiculously absurd that, it's like if I have broccoli stuck in my teeth and I have nose hairs coming out, I hope you're going to tell me. Oh, no, not today. Yeah. Who are you to tell me I have broccoli in my teeth and nose hairs coming hanging in my mouth? We can go on a whole nother podcast.
I agree with you to the fact that you want to be as compassionate as possible and honest as possible, but the perception may still be you're an ass, and the reason is because we have a victim culture. Oh, 100%. And so a lot of times you have to check your own motives and why you're doing something. But as a coach, when I've done a lot of coaching, my job is to speak the truth, and I only have clients that value that. But when I have people in my life or friends or business, I have to wrestle sometimes because one I ask is, are they going to receive this? Is this going to fall on deaf ears? If it is, there's no point in saying it. But there's other times where it's like I love that person enough that I'm willing to go out on a limb and say the truth, even if they think I'm an ass, because everybody else around them didn't want to look like an ass, so they didn't tell them the truth. But this might save this guy's life, or this might save this guy's business, or this might save this guy's marriage, or whatever it is. And so I think motive has something to do with it. And two is, I think you should do it as compassionate as possible, but the truth hurts. When someone tells you something that nobody else has told you, and it's going to benefit the person if they're willing to humble themselves and receive it, that same person, if they're not willing to humble themselves and receive it, will see it as an attack and as something that's not loving. But their perception is irrelevant. What matters is that you're doing it from a loving place, that you're doing it for their benefit, and if they receive it, they'll probably become better, and if they don't, they're going to continue in their ways. That's not your problem. But I think it's incredibly compassionate for people that have type A personalities that aren't being arrogant, that actually go on a limb and say, I have nothing to gain from telling this person this other than that they have something to gain if I'm honest with them, because no one around them will tell them the truth. And so I think that's leadership. And I think sometimes you have to say hard things to people because you care about them. And you may be the first person, but it might be by the time the third person tells them that they make the adjustments and get their life together or get their business together. So I just think it has to come from a place of compassion, but perception and how you say it, do it as best as possible. But any advice through honesty is good advice if it's done with the right intention, even if it's an imperfect delivery. I think if you're looking for a perfect delivery, you're never going to tell people the truth.
Agreed.
If you're looking to sound nice, you're never going to tell them the truth. You got to do the best possible. And the person, like if somebody, one time Alex checked me hard, and it was hard. It was
Thank
great.
you, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah. You know why it's great? One is a lot of people are afraid to check me because I check people.
Yeah.
But I knew he loved me, and I knew he cared, so he checked me and held me accountable to something, and I adjusted, and it made me better. I could go victim and be like, oh, you're this or you're that, but the type of person I am is one who takes responsibility. So the type of people who are going to say you're an asshole or you're being mean are also the type of people that will be a victim in their life. So winners want to win. When Michael Jordan used to light people up, it's because he wanted to win, and he knew they wanted to win, and he wanted to get to the next level. If people are rejecting your advice and you're coming from a place of compassion, they probably shouldn't be in your circle.
Yeah, it's well said, man. So what is the biggest mistake you have made in entrepreneurship?
I don't have a lot of patience.
Is that what you checked them on, Alex?
No,
Said,
it's other
have some more
stuff.
patience.
No, it's other stuff.
Yeah.
But
I think I told you this,
it's-
right? One of the signs of intelligence is the ability to have delayed gratification.
yeah,
And this is from Alex Ramosi. I don't know where he got it from, but it's pretty good. It's like if you try to go train a monkey or a dog how to do a task or how to do something, you reward them instantly. Like you sit and you give them
Yeah.
a treat. And the sign of intelligence, just one of the signs, is someone who can have delayed gratification, that they can do a task and not be instantly rewarded
Yep.
with a treat because they are smart enough to connect the dots of how doing this task, though doesn't reward me today, will reward me
in long term.
ultimately. And patience, when you say patience, that's what I think of as I go, do you have the patience
Yep.
to play the long game? Do you have the patience to actually keep discipline in your phone calls or whatever it is?
a lot of it comes down for me is unrealistic expectations. So I'm a dreamer. I'm passionate. I'm not against large goals. I'm not against any of that. But some stuff is delusional.
Those
to the
kids that come from other countries are dreamers? Is that what he's talking about? Or no?
Yeah.
Okay. I was
Nate wants to turn this into a political podcast.
I was just
Guys,
Yeah.
welcome
We're
to
not talking about
Monday
amnesty
Mindset,
and
the
immigration.
political- yeah.
We're
The
talking about
political
just having
podcast.
vision,
I
right?
love
So
it.
I don't want to shut down anybody who has passionate vision and accomplishes big things. But I was talking to Cody last night about it, me and Alex. Sometimes you can set the goal so high that you always feel like you're failing every year. And it's a lack of patience because things take time to develop. Things take time to develop, and maybe the goal was premature. And so a lot of it has to do with my wife is the one who helps me with that, where she's like, hey, you took over this failing company, you revived it, you created this much profit. You want to double that profit, but that probably will come in a year from now for patience. But it's just I expect it now because I want to win. And it's like somebody, that who wants an NBA championship, but you got to stack the roster and you got to practice together. And you got to strategize, and you got to go through a finals and maybe lose a finals before you win a finals.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things for me. Is what makes me great is that I'm driven and I'm not patient, and what makes me not great is that I'm very impatient. And so I have to find the balance to be patient and go. Maybe not in 2024, but in 2025 we'll hit that target if I stick with it.
I love that, man. Yeah, it's the rigor. It takes rigor when you have patience to see the task all the way through. What about you, man?
My biggest mistake as an entrepreneur is waiting 10 plus years to bring in my business coach. If I had brought in my business coach when I first started, I think I would be way farther ahead.
And can I ask who your business coach is?
My business coach, I have worked with a lot of amazing guys. My first one was Eric Lofholm. And then I worked with Ray Edwards. I worked with Russell Brunson. I worked with
I didn't know
Nick
you
for a
worked with
while.
Russell. I know
Yeah.
you worked with Nick.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
If you need
Shout
a
out Nick
coach.
Bravo. Yeah.
there you go.
So and right now I have a few circle of advisors that I would reach out to be like, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And then there's people that hold me personally accountable. So I really believe in having a circle of folks that, like we're talking about, will speak truth and say it's a terrible idea. Or like go all in on that idea. So there are a lot of examples of that, which I won't take time to go into, but my biggest mistake was not getting a coach to speak into me.
Yeah,
a lot of people's biggest mistakes.
Yeah, well, they don't listen too. They get a coach, but they don't listen.
Or you get to a certain level, you don't think you need a coach anymore.
Yep.
Which is completely wrong.
That's a trap. That's a trap.
Don't you find that
athletes need a good coach?
you just need coaches in multiple areas? I think people think of coaches as like a holistic, where I see coaches as like you need a coach for the different things in your life, whether it's business, and it could even be certain things in your business. It could be a relationship coach. It could be whatever the weakness is. I try to be, what do they call it, like the 5-dimensional man, where it's like family, faith, friends, finance, fitness. You want to be 5-dimensional, and you think of, well, almost like having a coach for all of those areas in essence that can guide you. Because I think a big mistake is there's too many coaches that haven't done what you want to do, but they're trying to coach you how to get there. I mean, like the best business advice I could give somebody is don't watch what people say, watch what they do.
When did results stop mattering?
Yeah.
I hate it. It's oh my God. If you have a
It's
phone and
insane.
an Instagram, you have an opinion, now you're a coach. Yeah, my mentor said, if you can't do it, teach it. If you can't teach it, write a book about it. Right? So, and unfortunately, sorry, all you out there, a bunch of books, you never done anything. I'm sitting here getting taught. I'm just like, in my back of my head, I'm just like, love the person. What they're saying is great. They read a lot of books. They're super smart. But like, where's your team? Where was your agency? Where have you?
Bingo.
Have you been doing what it is? Like, it's one thing to low outside looking in. It's another. It's one thing for me to go, wow, I would know what it's like to be a Marine. I have no idea what it's like to be a Marine because I was never a freaking Marine. I could talk, I read books about them and I have friends that are Marines. No, until you're there and you're getting stripped down and you're doing what do you got to do to become a Marine, you can't do it. So you got to find someone who has what you, this is the key to, I think, anything. Find someone who has what you want, do what they do, and you'll get what they got.
Dude, so good. Say that one more time.
Find someone who has what you want, do what they do, and you'll get what you got. When I wanted to lose weight and I was 250, I got down to 195, right? I didn't go look for someone that was 400 pounds. It doesn't mean I can't like them. They're still my friend. I can still love that 400-pound person. But their advice, what they put in their freaking mouth, is not what I want to follow or I'm going to look like them. And it's like, that's across all the areas you talked about.
And if you have a team, your team will only rise to the level that you are,
100%.
which is why you need a coach, because you are the limiting factor. You are their ceiling because you're controlling so much of what they believe in their culture and all that stuff. And so that's why as a leader, you have to constantly be elevating, and the standards have to be higher for you because people are going to come in 80% of that.
Coach Burt says it's the best. You can't see the picture inside the frame.
Yeah.
You can't see the picture inside the
It's
frame.
freaking so good. So, Jeff Milburn, man, I see you're on there. Happy New Year to you, man.
up,
Appreciate
Jeff?
you. Hope you're killing it. All right, so we're going to wrap up here. That was a great Monday Mindset. We're going to go do a podcast. We're going to get some coffee. And
I need to put shoes on for the podcast.
do you have shoes, please?
I do. They're in the hotel, but it's
I mean,
like,
I do want our views to go up, but I don't think that's going to cause our views to go
I
up.
don't know,
bro.
it's like
I've been
my-
looking at your toes the whole time going, oh.
I would have clipped my nails if I would have been.
Yeah, we're not gonna make money off of these pictures. I'm sorry, boys. No. All right, appreciate you guys. Get out there, win for you, for your clients, for your family. I'm gonna go behind the camera now and stop the live. But
Año Nuevo.
yeah, share this.
Happy New Year.
Have a friend watch it because I think it's super valuable. But appreciate you guys listening.